Hello everyone, welcome to Brain Blitz Audios. Today, in this episode of Cbse multiple choice questions, we're going to be looking at some questions of the subject science, and this is going to be our third episode. So today we're going to be looking at sample questions of science, especially for grade 10. So in the Cbse curriculum, we have public exams for grade 10 and 12, and the new regulation that you have 2 exams every year is applicable for both of these grades. So we have science for grade 10, and this is a particularly difficult subject because you have a lot of concepts, and so therefore we have some questions which we'll be solving today, and we'll find out how best to solve them effectively. So, let's start off with our first question. Rima took 5 ml of lead nitrate solution in a beaker and added approximately 4 ml of potassium iodide solution to it. What would she observe? Solution turned red, yellow precipitate was formed, white precipitate was formed. The reaction mixture became hot. So, let's look at the question itself. It says she took 5 ml of lead nitrate and approximately 4 ml of potassium iodide. So now let's look at both the reactants, lead nitrate and potassium iodide. So we have PbNO3 twice and potassium iodide. So we'll just, when we mix them together, we have a precipitation reaction. So precipitation is another word for double displacement reaction. So basically you'll have the exchange of ions taking place. So we get PbI2 and KNO3. So therefore we'll write 2 here and 2 here in order to balance the equation. Now lead iodide is the precipitate in this reaction, and the precipitate here is yellow. So therefore since lead iodide is yellow in color, you'll see that option B, yellow precipitate was formed, is correct. So KNO3 is colorless, so therefore the solution cannot turn red. White precipitate was formed, that's wrong because PbI2 is yellow, and the reaction mixture became hot. In exchange of ions, it's mostly endothermic, so the reaction mixture doesn't become hot. So option D is also incorrect. The correct answer for this question is yellow precipitate was formed. So here the values does not matter. Lead nitrate and potassium iodide is what matters, because, well, when we take these reactants, when we find out that these are the reactants, then we would know the equation that we have, that we should form, and then we'll get PbI2 plus 2KNO3. And we know that PbI2 is yellow and it forms the precipitate. So yellow precipitate was formed is the correct option. Next question. Identify gas A in the following experiment. So we have zinc granules and dilute sulfuric acid present in a test tube. We have a gas, and the gas burns with a pop sound. So you can solve this question in 2 ways. The first way, which is longer, is to look at the reactants. So we have zinc and dilute sulfuric acid. So Zn plus H2SO4. Of course, you can write dilute if you want. So in this particular case, we will have the displacement reaction. Since zinc is higher than hydrogen in the reactivity series, so therefore zinc takes the sulfate and we have hydrogen left. So that is now in its gaseous form, so it escapes as a gas. So therefore the correct option would be option B. So the other options A, C, and D are incorrect because nitrogen is inert, so nothing happens to the fire. Oxygen is, well, an oxidizer, so basically it increases the activity of the fire, and carbon dioxide is used as an extinguisher for the fire. So therefore, the correct answer would be option B, hydrogen. Now you can also find out that it's hydrogen because of the fact that the gas A burns out with a pop sound, and that happens for hydrogen. So we all study that when hydrogen burns, it burns with a pop sound. So therefore, just by looking at this particular schematic, like the pop sound, you can guess that it's hydrogen. But then if you want to be sure, then you can check out the reactants, and then as you can see, this is a displacement reaction and hydrogen is evolved. So therefore, option B, hydrogen, is the correct answer. Let's look at another question. Which of the following two combinations are correct? So basically, the reaction that we have is metal plus dilute HCl gives metal salt plus gas. So we have some metals given here, and we need to find out whether the gas evolves when this metal reacts with dilute HCl. So we have copper, and it says yes as option serial number 1. In number 2, it says iron, and yes. In number 3, it says magnesium, and no. Number 4, it says zinc, and yes. So in order for a metal to react with dilute HCl and form metal salt and gas, which is, well, H2, the metal has to be more reactive than hydrogen. So basically, this is a question of reactivity series. So in the reactivity series, we have metals like potassium and sodium at the top, and then we have metals such as Mg and Zn in the middle, and then we have iron, lead, and so on. And this reactivity series is marked by hydrogen, the only non-metal in the reactivity series. And then below it, we have elements such as copper, gold, silver, platinum, etc. So in order for the gas to be evolved, the metal has to be more reactive than hydrogen in order to displace it from HCl. So therefore, when we look at each of the metal, the first one, that is copper, would be incorrect because copper is less reactive than hydrogen, so therefore it does not displace hydrogen. So gas does not evolve here. When we look at iron, yes, it's above hydrogen, so therefore yes, it occurs. But when we look at magnesium is higher than hydrogen in the reactivity series, but the gas evolved is given as no, which is incorrect. Gas does evolve. So if you have Mg plus 2HCl, you'll get MgCl2 plus H2. So therefore, the third option is also incorrect. And finally, we have zinc again, which does react with HCl to form hydrogen gas. So both 2 and 4 are correct. So that means that option D here will be the correct option. 1 and 3, option A is incorrect because the options given here are wrong. 1 and 4 is incorrect because here the first part is wrong. 2 and 3 is also incorrect because 3 is an incorrect option. So therefore, the correct option is option D, 2 and 4. Now, in this question, we have to find out which of the following correctly represents a balanced chemical equation. So we have like 4 reactions, so basically the same reaction. We need to find out which of these correctly represents a balanced chemical equation. So the concept of balancing a chemical equation is based on the law of conservation of mass. So that says that matter cannot be created or destroyed. Mass can be created or destroyed. So therefore, in order to have a proper reaction, the number of atoms of a particular element in LHS has to be equal to the number of atoms in the RHS. So therefore, in order to solve this question, we have to check out all the reactants and see if there is any disturbance in any of the options. If there is a disturbance, like if there is a difference, then the option becomes incorrect. Now, to illustrate that, let's look at option 1. Option 1 says, option A says Fe plus 4H2O gives Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Now here you have just one iron atom, but over here you have 3. So therefore there is a mismatch here. So if you were to take this as the balanced equation, then matter is created. So that's not possible. So therefore option A is incorrect. When we look at option D, you see that, well, we have 4 times 2, so therefore we have 8 atoms of hydrogen here, while on the right hand side we have just 2 atoms of hydrogen here. So therefore option D is also incorrect because the hydrogen atoms are not balanced. Now if we look at C, we find that we have 1 oxygen atom on the left hand side, but we have 4 oxygen atoms on the right hand side. So therefore option C is also incorrect. Now when we look at B, we have 3 Fe on the left, 3 Fe on the left, 8 hydrogen on the right, 8 hydrogen on the left, and we have 4 oxygen on the left and 4 oxygens on the right. So therefore this particular equation is balanced. So option B is the correct option. Now let's look at this question. This is the final question for this episode. The graph given below depicts a neutralization reaction. Acid plus alkali gives salt plus water. Now, the important statement here is the pH of a solution changes as we add excess of acid to an alkali. So which letter denotes the area of the graph where both acid and salt are present? Is it A, is it B, is it C, or is it D? So, what happens in a neutralization reaction? So, an acid reacts with an alkali, and in this process, water is formed. Now, water is neutral. It has a pH of 7. So, therefore, this is called a neutralization reaction. And if you have like strong acids and strong alkalis, then the salts will also be neutral. Of course, there are various variations on this, but the basic idea is that when you react acid and alkali, the resulting solution will have a pH of 7, generally. Now, when we add excess of acid, the pH changes. If we add excess of alkali, the pH changes as well. We need to find the area of the graph where we have both acid and salt. So, how do we solve this? For that, we need to look at the pH. So, when we have a pH of less than 7, the environment is acidic. A pH greater than 7 is a basic environment. And you also have pH equal to 7 being a neutral environment. So, in this particular scenario, we have acid added to the reaction, like excess of acid is added to this reaction. So therefore, we will have salt and water, but we also have some leftover acids. So if we have acid, then that acid lowers the pH, so the pH must be less than 7. So the only letter which is below 7 in the graph is D. So therefore, the correct option is option D. If we look at A, B, and C, all of them are above. A and B are definitely above 7. So therefore, they're basic. And C is quite close to 7, so it's almost neutral. But then again, we're looking for an acidic environment, so therefore, option D is the correct answer. So, that concludes this episode of Cbse MCQs. We hope you found this episode interesting. For more of our videos on this and other topics, please subscribe to our channel, Brain Blitz Audios. We have a lot of videos in here, and if you want to access videos specifically for Cbse MCQs, you can hit the playlist. Its link is present in the description box below. And if you want to access more of our useful and interesting content, then please press the bell icon, the notifications button, and set it to all in order to get our latest updates. So, until our next episode, take care, stay safe, bye-bye for now.